Sit with Mike Lehan and you hear the story of his life in a nutshell.
It was an interracial adoption, and so I remember in elementary school that conferences, we go to conferences, that's when I really realized that it was, I don't look like my parents. All my friends, they look like their parents. I didn't quite look like my parents.
He's made the best of that life, and what a life it has been. See, while he was wondering about his journey, he was growing into quite an athlete at Hopkins High School. It was obvious he had some gifts.
I think the key was I remember some of my high school teachers, Coach McDonald, Frankie, one of my science teachers, countless people around the community that were very supportive, not only me as the football player, but me as a person.
From there, he landed a scholarship to play for the University of Minnesota.
Time with the Gophers was fantastic. I was Coach Mason's first recruiting class. Went to many bowl games, which we hadn't at that time. I actually have a really close-knit group of friends that I played with.
He trained and made it big. Catching enough attention, he was taken in the 5th round of the NFL draft, the beginning of a 6-year NFL career.
The average career is less than 3 years. I had the opportunity to play for six seasons. I had a contract offer from the Saints going into next year, but my body was beat up, and I knew that I have passions to really build young people up. You're going to go up there for what?
Do a little sweep.
Oh, just that floor?
No announcements.
Just you?
Just me.
His story was far from written when he left the NFL. No, his most significant work was still to come. The kid who needed help to learn how to become a student went back to school so he could go back to school. He got his master's and has landed a job as the principal at Osseo Senior High School. Do you find yourself, you see these kids and they've got great potential and they don't even know it, and you've lived that same thing. Do you find yourself able to relate and say, look, you don't understand. You could do great things with your life, and I was you at one time, and I had the odds stacked against me, and I made it. Are you able to impart that on them?
You know, I talk about that a little bit, but more so it just comes with the place of, you know, you have that fixed mindset versus growth mindset. The people that helped me out had a growth mindset for me, and so then as I interact with students who might not be doing the right things or the things that we would like them to do, it's about seeing the very best that they still have in them and not writing them off.
And one of his teammates is a teammate again. Jared Ellerson was a Gopher with him on the football field, a fan of his work and colleague in the education field today.
Just knowing him from college and, like you said, watching him grow up in front of our eyes, I mean, it's amazing. So being younger and watching him grow up and kind of following in his footsteps, he's an amazing leader. I mean, he knows how to grab the hearts of these kids, and he's in a perfect field right now in education.
It's hard to really take it in that a kid that grew up in limbo is now the man in charge of a school.
How did the meeting go yesterday? I'm blessed to have a great staff and have great students. To be 35 years old and be a principal of a large comprehensive high school in the 5th largest district in the state of Minnesota is a very humbling proposition. But at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility. It's my responsibility to see that every single student graduates from here, and not graduates because we're moving them along, graduates because they have committed themselves to being the best scholar that they can, and they've committed to excellence.
Knowing what you know, do you almost welcome that challenge when you see a kid that's struggling?
Absolutely, absolutely. Some of the students that I have the best relationships with are the ones that, holy smokes, I also want to.
Yeah, they're not the captain of the team and stuff. I mean, people would think you might relate better, but actually, it's not them, it's the others that you're lifting up.
Yeah, and it's a good thing I'm bald, because I probably would be otherwise with pulling the hair out of my head just thinking about them.
See, he grew up thinking he was made to be a football player. He found out there was an even greater plan, and that his life lessons have provided a platform to live a life of goals reached, of potential fulfilled.
If somebody says, Mr. Lehan when I'm at their wedding in 20 years or however long, and they said, Mr. Lehan, I remember that when I was in your office and you told me this, or when I was in the hallway we talked about this. That's success to me, is being able to say something special enough to be remembered by somebody that you care about as a young person.
Life to the Max is brought to you by LifeTouch, photography for a lifetime.